I am unbelievably excited that you just clicked on this video because the trick that I'm going to show you in this video is called cross column inverted box, and it is arguably the best trick of all time. And for me, it is personally one of my favorites, if not my literal favorite trick in 3-ball juggling. So let's get right into how to do this trick.
And by the way, in case you don't already know me, my name is Fly Juggler Bennett Santor. I've been juggling for over a decade. I'm an international juggling champion. I've juggled 9 balls, and now I get to teach juggling to hundreds of thousands of people like you guys through my social media presence. Anyways, back to the video.
By the way, if you need a set of professional juggling balls, you can find some at flyjuggling.com. These are the ones that I use. But for the purpose of this tutorial, I'll be using multicolored balls. So if you're finally ready to learn cross column inverted box, that is great. And just to make sure, you need to be able to do these prerequisites. So you need to be able to do the box, and you also need to be able to do inverted box. And if you can do both of these tricks, then you can learn cross column inverted box. Now, don't get me wrong, cross column inverted box is an extremely difficult trick, and it's also especially difficult in the mind. So make sure before you start this that you have a solid inverted box before even trying to practice this trick. Okay, but if you're ready, let's get right into how to do this. So the basic idea of cross column inverted box is that instead of having these 2 columns going in the normal spot like this, with one going over the top, you're now gonna have each column on the other side of its body. So the blue one is still gonna be caught in my right hand, and the yellow one is still gonna be caught in my left hand, but now they're gonna be thrown and caught on the opposite sides of my body. But see, the blue one is still in my right hand, and the yellow one is still in my left hand. And instead of one hand being consistently on top, it's gonna be a lot more like this, where while one hand is on top catching it, the other hand is doing something entirely different in the pattern. So the best way to practice this is to break it up into its separate steps. So the first step is gonna be this position. So just watch where I move my hand. So I'm gonna have one ball in my dominant hand, and I'm gonna move it under the other arm like this. And then I'm gonna practice throwing it straight up, just like so, just to start. Once just throwing this becomes comfortable, the next step is to throw this, and then while it's empty, bring your hand up here to clap it, and then bring it back down to catch it before the blue one lands. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, like that. And you want this ball to remain on the outside the whole time. You don't want it to come in like this or anything. You want it to stay on the outside over here. So practice that a bunch, and then also practice the exact same thing on the other side. So watch, I'm gonna go hold both hands up like this, bring the hand with the ball in it under the arm, and then practice throwing it up, and then practice throwing it up with this clap here. So boom, 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 just like that. Okay, so we got that, that's all cool. The next step is to now practice the handoff. So we're gonna start in the same position, but now instead of the ball being down here in this hand, it's gonna be up here in this hand. And we're gonna practice doing this. So you start in this position, you bring this hand up, hand it off, and then you bring this hand down under the other side. And then you reverse it. So bring this hand up, cross it over, and then bring this hand down to catch it. Down, down, down. And you wanna get very quick at this because you need to be able to do it as if you're doing an inverted box throw. So you would be doing a throw from here at the same time as you do a throw from here, and then you throw it back before that one lands. So boom, 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 just like that. Okay, so once the throwing part like this feels solid and the horizontal throw like this feels solid, it's time to get your second ball. So we're gonna start with that same drill that we did where we threw one up and we clapped. But now instead of clapping, you're actually gonna put the pink ball into that hand. So at first you're gonna just let it drop. You're gonna throw both at the same time and just let it drop. Then the second step is to actually throw the pink ball back. So 1, 2. And then the third step is before the blue ball lands, you now have freed this hand up once you threw the pink ball back into here. So you can now reach under and catch that blue ball again. So all together, it'll look like this. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2. Now we practice that exact same thing, but on the other side of our body. So once again, loop this under, and then 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now that's gonna take a lot of practice, but get really good at that. This 2-ball drill is literally as fundamental as this drill is when you learn the box, or as this drill is when you learned inverted box. You need to get very good at this on both sides. So once you've gotten very good at that, you can now bring the third ball in. You can start with 2 in your dominant hand and start the exact same that we have been with the 1, 2 thing. But now before this yellow ball lands back in this hand with the pink one in it, you're gonna need to get rid of the pink one. And you can't just get rid of the pink one like this. You need to get rid of the pink one under the arm of where you throw the yellow. So the second that you throw this yellow and blue one, I'm bringing that other arm right under where I catch the yellow so I can do it from that side. So together it'll look like 1, 2, stop. So you can literally go 1, 2, stop. And just make sure each column is landing on the correct side. But eventually you want to get to 1, 2, stop. And that's how you do cross column inverted box, because you already got 2 throws of it. Now it's just a matter of repeating. So then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, stop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then just go for as long as you can. Now there's a couple things I want to point out here that people do get wrong. I mean, arguably it's not wrong, but it's not the truest form of cross column inverted box. So the truest form is where your hands are on the inside of every single throw that you do. But there's also ways to do it on the outside. So you could do cross column inverted box where every single throw you do is on the outside of the pattern. So that would look like this. Now it isn't wrong per se, but it doesn't exactly create the shape that we're kind of looking for. And you can also do that same thing, but you're just kind of going around the throw. So that would look like this. And again, it's not wrong, but it doesn't necessarily create the shape that I think looks best. The third variation would be to throw it on the inside, but catch it on the outside. But that one's just difficult. I don't think anyone really does that one accidentally. And then the last variation, and the one that we would want ideally, is keeping everything on the inside of the 2 columns that are going on the outside, which would look like this. Now, I'm gonna warn you, this is one of the only patterns on Earth that I think you end up with more collisions with your hands against the other hand than you do with the balls colliding with each other. Because you really do not have much space. You have to keep everything super tight. And if you go one hand a little bit early, you're gonna end up hitting your hand with your own hand. So that's one thing to look out for as you're trying to practice this, making sure you don't accidentally hit your hand with your own hand. But yeah, that's how cross column inverted box is done. It is one of the coolest patterns on Earth. So I really recommend sitting down and practicing this one, even if it takes a long time to get it. And I'll give one final tip on this. Sometimes it's actually more helpful to practice this in your mind, just imagining it, or even without juggling balls. So sometimes I'll sit there, like when I was learning this, sometimes I would sit there and I would just go with imaginary balls without even having any balls in my hands, just because it's such a muscle memory based trick rather than like a logical based trick. Like when I'm doing the trick, I'm not really thinking, oh, I'm gonna bring my arm down to my left side and then catch blah, blah, blah. No, I'm just thinking, I just know what to do based on how many times my muscle memory has done it. And so that's honestly the best way to learn this trick, is just really lock it into your muscle memory. And that'll just be a lot of time spent like imagining it or doing it without even having physical juggling balls. So anyway, I hope you learned that trick. This is super niche. So if you are learning this, that is awesome. Like seriously, that is really cool that you are taking it on yourself to learn this trick. But thank you so much for watching. I have a lot more tutorials coming out soon, so if you want to see any of those, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss them. And if you want more personalized help, I have an online school community where we go over any trick that you want. No more time being stuck in the same place in juggling and failing to make progress. In our school community, we will take you exactly from where you are in juggling to wherever you want to go. You can submit like tricks and we will tell you what you need to do differently, and it's a great community. All of my tutorials on YouTube are free, so we have some extra ones in there that are exclusive, and it offers that extra layer of personalized help if you want to get these tricks faster and with more ease and with less stress. But anyways, I'll catch you in the next video. I really hope you enjoyed that one, and peace out. Happy juggling.